Hello and welcome in everybody to the VCS Championship. We're here at VCS English for the final day of week number 2. Gentlemen with me here on the desk, can you actually believe somehow that we are almost halfway into the split after only 2 weeks? It's kind of an astonishing thing alongside me, of course, preparing for our final day of games. 𝘀𝗀 on the desk. Welcome in very, very much alongside 𝘀𝗀ₛ over there as dashing as can be. But again, back to 𝘀𝗀. How you doing? Welcome to the VCS. I hope you're ready for some, I guess, quality games is what we would call them.
Yeah, it's great to be here, honestly. I'm really excited for these games. They should be really competitive today, back and forth, and looking forward to it.
And 𝘀𝗀ₛ,
Absolutely.
how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm here. I've been teasing this match for the whole week as the match of the week, and BTS against Flash should be. What was the word that Carrick's used? A slobber knocker or something like that. I don't know. I won 3 games of pure madness.
I think we're bound to get some games of madness here today. We have Burst the Sky versus Team Flash first, and of course, I think this entire week leading up was kind of astonishing, the amount of like level of play that we had from top to bottom inside of the VCS. We had so many incredible series that defined, number 1 team, number 2 team. It's that 𝘀𝗀cie on a good path. We've seen a little bit of a collapse from the side of both SPTC and also Saigon to some extent. And then you have like this day, and this day feels so much more relaxed, where it's like, okay, GAM is playing Secret a little later on, and these two teams are closer to the bottom of the barrel. The kind of pressure doesn't seem to be on nearly as much today as we get to divulge into our first series of the day. Team Flash into BTS. You don't have to ask about what I want to talk about on this desk, but I'm going to talk about what you guys want to talk about. The first thing both of you wanted to talk about is that Team Flash sitting right now series winless inside of the entire game. Yes, they've had their moments. 𝘂𝗀cie is a question mark for this team, and this is supposed to be the veterancy that brings them out. And I'll start, I suppose, with you, Mr. 𝘀𝗀, as you also wanted to talk about this, and I'll let 𝘀𝗀ₛ continue. Talk to me about what 𝘂𝗀cie is doing on this team, what his intended role is supposed to be.
He's just that powerhouse in the top lane, right? He comes in, just wins his lane every time, and for the most part, he plays strong side top lane. And I want to see him on these carry champions because we saw him on the 𝗀 against the best people in the league this week, and yeah, he got the CS advantage, but he wasn't able to push it forward. And honestly, I feel like he needs to be that late, like that carry to mid game, so that the ADC can carry over, right? And that's what we need to see him going forward in this series, playing into.
I'm not a great league analyst. I'm not either a great psychoanalyst, but to me it looks like that after the lane phase, which 𝘀𝗀 highlighted here, coming into the mid game, 𝘂𝗀cie seems to have a bit of trust issues or something like that, because he doesn't rely on his teammates as well as any other top laner, and we see him either overextending or getting caught in places that don't really make sense on the map, and he plays as if he's isolated and he can't rely on his teammates. I don't know if this is a team-wide issue or just 𝘂𝗀cie being a bit skeptic. But yeah, this is something that kind of worries me, because he should be the leader, the veteran, the one pulling the team together, together with also his ally 𝘁𝗏𝗏, but he doesn't seem to be doing that so far.
We expect quite a bit from him because he is the veterancy. He's supposed to be what is the in-game leader, hopefully, for the side of this Flash squad, who have yet to find a bunch of success. And the biggest thing I think for Flash walking into this split, our expectations were low for them. I think everybody that all of our analysts had them at least at bottom 2, if not bottom of the league. But something that's been working for them has been bottom lane. But I also know that Mr. 𝘀𝗀ₛ, you want to talk about BTS's bot lane, so I'll get a chance to actually compare the two, starting with you talking about BTS's bot lane this split.
Indeed, BTS bot lane was actually a great surprise for me, especially because in spring we had 𝘀𝗀ₛ as the AD carry, and he was one of the veterans of the scene. Then he moved to coaching, and 𝘀𝗍𝗓, formerly Police, came in, and we had kind of lukewarm expectation towards this AD carry. Of course, filling in the shoes of a veteran is never easy, but 𝘀𝗍𝗓 is doing that quite well. He had some solid games on his AD carry performances, and he has shown to be a very reliable carry for BTS. And of course, his support 𝘂𝗎𝗀 also improved steadily throughout the, well, let's say long pause this summer, and he can play a large variety of supports. And I've been quite impressed by his Nami, of course. As a Nami main, I cannot put that out. And so this bot lane looks like the point, the win condition that former BTS iteration really needed to have in order to snatch some games.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like their bot lane is super strong, right? But you got to remember that Team Flash last week played against probably the best bot lane in the league with Artemis playing there, and they were able to take a game off in nearly the second game just through letting that bot lane farm on the Aphelios, just get into that 200 years point where you just destroy everyone, and then coming back and just completely just shredding through everyone. So yeah, I feel like it's going to be a strong point for them in the bot lane. But Team Flash, obviously, if they play it right and just is able to pick up and stay a good farming rate, I think he's going to be still strong in that bot lane.
It's a matter of, I think you also wanted to talk a bit about 𝘀𝗀𝗀, and so I'll let you kind of expound upon that because I'll get a chance to talk about that a little bit. Talk to me about your opinion on 𝘀𝗀𝗀 versus 𝘊𝑺 in this composition. I know maybe 𝘊𝑺 is not necessarily starting now, but what the why it is necessary for, I guess, 𝘀𝗀𝗀 to step in here for the side of Team Flash if they want success.
Well, first of all, as any support main knows, the more you play with an ADC, the better the lane chemistry goes, right? And 𝘀𝗀𝗀 has got the majority of the games with this ADC 𝘀𝗀, so it makes a lot of sense for them to keep that chemistry going. I also feel like 𝘀𝗀𝗀's champion pool is a bit wider than 𝘊𝑺's. I feel like he just plays a lot of just engaged champions, which doesn't offer them to get the counter pick with the enchanter support, which is quite often, or even risk taking the counter, the double enchanter, because I feel like BTS want to take the enchanter based on their champion pool, so you can match that with the enchanter and then play like a bit aggressive. And I just feel like if 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀 says you're a good support in 𝘊𝗀𝗀, you just got to play that dude. Okay, I'm sorry, please just play him. I want to see him play. I think he's pretty good, and he's got the right champion pool, and I think he matches up into this team pretty well.
Listen, on one hand, right, you have 𝘀𝗀, who's a good ADC, and I think with 𝘊𝗀𝗀, they look fine. If you're going to keep 𝘊𝗀𝗀 in, 𝘊𝗀𝗀 was actually the support that also went alongside one of our better VCS B teams, and he was with Yashiro and NEB. The two casters that are going to be coming on in a little bit know how much I love Yashiro, and I would have loved to see that. Don't think I forgot, Flash, that Yashiro and 𝘊𝗀𝗀 were a combination, and you decided not to bring that bot lane in, and I'm still salty about it. But let's go into, I guess, game mechanic, because I think there's really important topic to talk about, which is that BTS has some really good early game, Flash has some really struggling early game. And when BTS has had a lead, they've done rather well for themselves. They've got a good win percentage compared to what it looks like when they don't actually have that. In fact, all of their wins have come from the head during the course of this split. So I guess 𝘀𝗀𝗀 first, talk to me about what does BTS do to make sure they continue to confirm these wins in the early game, and then try to challenge that, try to give us something on the opposite side. But we'll start here with 𝘀𝗀𝗀.
Okay, I guess you prompted me exactly because you know what I'm gonna say, and that's gonna please you because the answer starts with Draktar. He's having a real great time, and 𝘀𝗀𝗀 as well has looked okay. Of course, on his own, he's not the greatest mid laner, but he seems to be okay when holding hands with Draktar. Draktar knows what to do in the early game and knows that bot lane is the point of pressure that he needs to focus on. So this is what I want the team to do mostly. Of course, don't pay too much attention on Ryuk, and that should be the go-to plan for 𝘀𝗀𝗀, especially against an opponent like Flash.
And 𝘀𝗀𝗀, I mean, if we have this opportunity for Flash, what is it that they can do, either stylistically or specifically as we start into the draft? What type of situations can they find themselves in to try to reprieve some of this early game that we're expecting from 𝘀𝗀𝗀sky?
I would just take champions which you know that if you farm up enough, you're going to be strong enough. Like obviously we saw them play the Aphelios last time. I think you need a strong carry topside where you just pretty much put a tent up in that lane, just make sure he's just as strong as possible because we know that he's the carry of the team, right? Your mid lane, you just put him on. Just put him on the VCS special, the Galio. Okay, we just let them sit there on the Galio and enjoy life, and then for the rest of the time we just focus the top side. Hope your bot don't get too far behind in farm, and then you catch up after that mid game once your top lane has carried you through. If that doesn't happen, it's going to be a problem because Team Flash does have a tendency to go quite far behind in gold. I think their average is 1.7k down at 15 minutes, which is pretty bad. But hopefully today we don't see that.
I guess like
Yeah.
if to make a food comparison, well, because I'm Italian, but like 𝗀𝗀𝗋𝗀 seems to be something as an acquired taste, meaning that if you're Vietnamese and you can appreciate it, but we coming from outside, we really can't see the value of 𝗀𝗀𝗋𝗀 mid lane.
I mean,
To me, it's distasteful just because it feels like a pick that they take on any mid laner because they think, okay, it just lives, right? We don't like that. We're seeing the initial parts of the draft. Somehow another team has gotten away getting this 𝘀cie Nami, which at some point I'm going to start stat tracking to see how many of these games are actually won, because it seems like it's all of them right now between the 𝘀cie and the Nami combination. And on the other side, it has been 𝘀𝗻𝗋 who's selected the Jhin into this combo. I'm not in love with this. We've seen this a couple of times work out, and this is a powerful bottom side to work through for 𝘁𝗀cie and 𝗶𝗹𝗀. 𝘀𝗀, are you excited about the prospect now that, again, this ADC you were hype on now has this priority in the bottom side?
Well, the 𝘀cie Nami combination does. When 𝘀cie has been picked, he has won 9 out of the 10 games that he's been picked in the VCS. So, all stats are on my side here. Okay, I think it's looking pretty good, and Pallet's back in, so you got the Enchanter support in that bot lane. Overall, I think it's looking good for them so far in this draft.
To be honest, I would have liked to see these bot lanes switched around. So 𝘁𝗀cie and 𝗁𝗏 on Jhin and Leona, and Umin and 𝘀𝗀𝗀 on 𝘀cie and Nami. For some reason, they ended up on the opposite team, which I don't know. I don't think it's the optimal setup for both bot lanes. But the positive is that Harvey on the side of Flash has his hands on one of his favorite champions, which is the Syndra, one of the champions that he had a good showing so far, which is a good start. This cannon to round up their competition, I'm not too confident on it. It seems that there's a lot of AP damage, and also we have seen the cannons in the VCS not being outstanding. So I hope he can prove me wrong. It's Yoshino after all, so we can trust him to perform on the cannon. But let's see how it turns out.
Closing bits of information about these two drafts now that we have full summaries from the two of you. I suppose we'll start with Clockwork about Burst the Sky. We'll come to 𝘀𝗀𝗋 about Team Flash after just a second, because we walked in almost expecting bottom lane to be played to for Burst the Sky and top lane to be played to from the side of Team Flash, but it seems as though we actually have a very powerful bot lane that's thrown things into disarray. So Clockwork, talk to me, final, any aggregate thoughts about the side of Burst the Sky's composition?
Burst the Sky, actually, not a bad composition. I think they will probably keep it low profile for the early game. Maybe follow around Draktar's Xin Zhao to gank some lane. Maybe he could try to focus on the top lane. The bot lane also has great setup, so everything is valuable. Glory needs to be unlocked to work well. I don't know about team fights. It's going to be tricky and relies a lot on Gnar ultimate. Yeah, so those are my thoughts.
𝘀𝗀𝗋, quick thoughts on Team Flash.
I think that they've got a great team fight composition, really. It's a very messy team fight, but they do also have the massive team fight ults, the Ken and the Nami ulti, just to really just mess things up. But overall, I think that if they're not there first on an objective, it's going to be near impossible for them to walk in with this comp, because they're so squishy as a team comp. Base checking into Leona Ryze, Xin, you're just going to one-shot someone. So it's a bit scary for them if they don't get this objective control. I think it's going to make them concede a lot of Drake pressure early on, and maybe even give up the Baron pressure.
I suppose we have one more brief moment, so I'll get a chance to actually ask both of you this. One word from both of you: who takes series or game number 1? Anyone, or we just?
Oh, it's just too hard to tell.
One word. Who wins?
And don't worry if you're wrong. For me, it's Flash.
Xin. I'm going Xin. The Xin comp is just too good.
Okay.
BTS,
all right.
I think.
So we're split across the board. We have one for Team Flash, one for BTS. As we come out of our death segment, we're going to be throwing it over to our casters to start game number 1 of our final day here in week number 2 of the VCS. 𝘀𝗀𝗋𝗀𝗀, take us in.
Well, your way. It's BTS taking on Team Flash. It's kind of like going to your son's funeral. You don't want to be here, but you kind of have to. As we enter into a game between two of our bottom tier teams, hopefully they can show us something fun regardless. We have a little bit of a scuffle in the bot lane early on.
What a line. I was not prepared for that. Holy moly. Welcome. This should be an interesting series, not only because, of course, we need to see these teams get something going, though BTS is actually in a decent spot now. They're 2-3. If they win today, they will actually tie 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀, the finalists from last split. So they're not really doing too badly for themselves, as we see 𝘁𝗏𝗏 showing some of that level 1 aggression Nami can always bring to the table. It's probably the strongest level 1 trading support in the game, because she heals and deals damage with the same spell, which is very helpful. Yeah, but Flash on the other side, 0-5 so far. They really can't go 0-6. 0-6 basically means players is out of the picture. 0-5 is already a very bad start, so now is the time for them to strike back and show us some of their potential.
You'd certainly hope so, as we get an interesting picture-in-picture there for a moment. Hotkeys being a little bit difficult, apparently. Does the scoreboard look wrong to you? Why is 𝘂𝑎𝑜 the international man of mystery?
He has not been seen. He's moving without being seen on the map, and no one knows where he is or who he is. So there's a big question mark.
The scoreboard normally does that. Oh, very, very strange. Hopefully that gets fixed up. That's a weird bug. But Dante has finished his clear first, but both junglers are going to be around this bot side scuttle. Dante moves forward, does get CC to break the shield, but the weird becomes Lightning's hit. He can't actually stealth up in his gas, so Dante has to flash away, but 𝘀𝗏𝗏 says no. He is going to continue the fight, and with 𝘁𝑎𝑜 coming in, this is going to be a dead jungler and a kill for 𝘁𝗏𝗀.
Well, that's a very good start for BTS, and Flash once again failed to collapse in time. Unfortunately for them, their jungler is now very far behind. Dante also had to use his flash, so now the next time he sees 𝘀𝗏𝗏, the man of mystery, then this is going to be even scarier, because of course 𝘂𝗏𝗏 can always just jump on top of you. Though he had to use his flash as well. So both junglers with less of an opportunity now to make ganks happen, but 𝘀𝗏𝗏 accelerated already. And the kill going over to 𝘁𝗏𝗀, maybe the main carry of the team, is always a very good sign for this team.
That's it. It is. I have a question for you, 𝘂𝗏𝗀. That first blood, as you said, it goes over to 𝘁𝗏𝗀. It's definitely never a bad thing to go to 𝘁𝗁𝗀, but would you have rather put it on Ryuk?
Yeah, maybe that's fair. I mean, it's �Ｊin, right? You know my feelings about �Ｊin. And 𝘁𝗁𝗀 �Ｊin has actually been very unsuccessful so far for this team. They kind of need the hard carry. But what is he doing
here? This is just journeying through the circles of hell as he meets his torment in the form of 𝘁𝑎𝑜, and 𝘁𝗁𝗀, he's 0-2. What are you doing, Dante?
Well, that was a very ambitious invade after already getting called out. I think he anticipated 𝘀𝗏𝗏 to be on the top side, which is correct, right? 𝘀𝗏𝗏 is... 𝘁𝗏𝗏, you don't want to do this either. 𝘁𝗏𝗏, you're level 5. Don't fight this 𝘂𝗏𝗏.
Yeah, he does have Dante coming in. He'll be able to add CC and a little bit of damage. Gets a good start. 𝘀𝗏𝗏 has no flash, but he has Glory to retreat to. He's so low. Can they finish the 𝘂𝗏𝗏? They definitely can. And Glory has to phase rush his way out of there.
So fortunately, Dante was actually in time there, so 𝘁𝗏𝗏 was confident enough to just chase him down, use his flash. And this actually is a nice solo kill for 𝘁𝗏𝗏 and gives Dante a little bit of reprieve, because he is now able to take a few of the camps away. He can't overstay again though, because 𝘁𝗏𝗏 does have a little bit of priority here. So if once again 𝘂𝗏𝗏 meets Dante in the jungle is probably done for one more time. So this is a good move. But I like this from 𝘁𝗏𝗏 as well. Just give mid lane a little bit more priority and give Dante, once again, time to get back into the game.
Hopefully, and also I am aware that my microphone is sounding a little bit crappy. Don't know why. Our Discord server's just laggy tonight. Apologies.
Should maybe change to Australia, do you think? That's
the only way to do that, we'll have to do that by jumping down a channel. So that's easy enough to do, but let's just both go down a channel.
Okay.
You need to put your stream back up. Apologies, everyone. We are just doing this on the fly. I'm hoping this fixes things. I can't see the game right now, so if anything is interesting happening, you're going to have to call it your way.
Yeah, we have a dragon going down, but that shouldn't be that big of a deal. First dragon over to 𝘀cie. Use the respawn jungler with full HP to come back into the game and get the first dragon. Now you should be able to see it again. Apologies, some unfortunate internet issues, but hopefully we're in a better spot now.
We should be. Hopefully it works itself out.
You sound way better to me already, so let's hope
Good.
it stays that way.
If I sound better to you, I sound better to the stream. I'm just getting my window back up so I can see things as we do re-enter the game. It is this 1,000 gold lead for BTS. Hopefully that fixes everything up.
The mystery bug is spreading. It's a disease. It's spreading amongst
no,
𝘀cie.
clearly they have found an option where if they're in Fog of War, they show as that, but it's only on 𝘀cie. I don't know how they've done it. I genuinely have no idea how they've done this to the scoreboard.
Yeah, somehow it's set to Team Flash's vision or something. And let's actually follow that scoreboard suggestion and try to find some good things and maybe some things Flash can work off of. They've won 2 games, and in those 2 games, some of the rookies have actually looked very decent. My eyes go to 𝘁𝗵𝗆 especially. He's on the same MVP points for us as his big teammate, his leader 𝘀cie𝗰𝗋. So 𝘁𝗵𝗆 has had some very, very strong pop-off games, and actually on Syndra, and here he goes again.
Yeah, he's moving on to 𝘀𝗀, gets him low, but doesn't quite finish him off. Manages to get away with a flash being burned. 𝘀𝗀 not in the best situation now.
Yeah, he had 1-7 game on Syndra, 1-6, 1-12, so very high KDAs in the wins. Of course, he also lost 2 games, but as is to be expected on a team that loses a lot of games, he's actually 50%, which, considering he's 2-14, I believe, in game score, is quite astonishing. But we have a fight brewing at the Rift Herald. Flash from Dante is down.
As always.
Which is very scary.
Does look like 𝘀𝗀 not particularly interested. They do not have level 6 on their Leona, while there is a level 6 on the Nami. As you can see, the stun goes in, and look at this. It all starts with that support level 6. It's a 1-for-1 at the moment, but you have to look at Team Flash's positioning. But 𝘀𝗀 has not gotten an effective slicing Maelstrom off. A bubble onto 𝘀𝗀 is massive, but not massive enough, as that Jhin ultimate has split Team Flash in half. The Realm Warp forward, only Ryuk goes, because only he needs to. And 𝘀𝗀 come out miles ahead.
And disaster strikes for Flash. They were first to the objective. A very, very important point 𝘀𝗀 pointed out on the analyst desk. Their 𝘀𝗀 composition had to be there first, and they still lost the fight. Now they're super far behind. They lost the objective as well, so that's even more gold coming down later on. And one huge issue against this team, 𝘀𝗀 is such a different team in this split so far. They used to be the worst early game team by far. But let's look at the fight again. For the first time. This starts off looking pretty good for Flash, but they are just not hitting targets for the most part. Look at Jetsu. He has to flash to get target access on 𝘀𝗀, and 𝘀𝗀 still survives. They never get their damage together. They can never focus one target down. And so everyone deals a little bit of damage on some targets, but not enough to kill them. And in the end, it's absolutely horrible for them. 𝘀𝗀 super far ahead. 𝘀𝗀 is having an absolutely standout week so far. And once again, oh, Ellie is caught though, but 𝘀𝗀 is here. The wrong time to engage.
𝘀𝗀 has arrived, misses the wind, becomes lightning though, so it will just be the Lucian ult used. No further scrap.
Yeah, back to the 𝘀𝗀 point. Let's see if he can carry this game again, because he has been outstanding so far. And once again, starting 3-0 on this late game scaling carry is not a good sign for Team Flash fans.
Really not. But 𝘁𝗵𝗆 being 2-0 on the Syndra is a bright light. 𝘁𝗵𝗆 is someone we've been watching, sort of not super happily, but have been watching, and he's had ups and downs in this split. This one so far looks like an up. there is still hope for Flash, but it's definitely not coming from the jump.
Yeah, and preparing for this game, I looked at 𝘁𝗵 and looked at his champion pool and which champions he looked best on. It's actually the control mages, the Syndra, I believe the Vex as well for one game. So he strikes me as maybe a little bit of an heir to the 𝗀𝗁 legacy. So let's see if he can step up and go that way.
That'd be mean.
Come on, 𝗀𝗁 had a very successful career. I'm not talking about the last split of 𝗀𝗁, which of course we want to forget about, but he was always a very good mage player, and maybe 𝘁𝗵 is the next one in line, the next big mage player. We have 𝘂do as one of our best mage players, maybe you could argue. 𝘀𝗁 is very good, yeah, but 𝘀𝗁 is still very new and still finding his own niche. I think 𝘀𝗁 still also always likes to go more assassin focused, right? He had the Yasuo game, he likes the Sylas a lot this split, so I think 𝘁𝗵 might be our new mage-focused player, and let's see if he can come together. I've been moderately impressed with him, and I think for a rookie, he has definitely stepped up more than some of the other players on the team, especially Dante is having a big struggle so far, and the Viego once again doesn't really look that comfortable so far in this game.
Yeah, I mean, the Viego's looked absolutely horrible. That second death in particular was just the brain fade. The champion didn't even really matter, to be perfectly honest. I think any champion dies there. But regardless, he's moved into the enemy jungle again. This time, I think he's managed to slip through the guard, so I don't think anyone will be spotting Viego. You got to stop moving your mouse like that.
Yes, I am very sorry.
As well.
He's actually stealing away the jungle.
Yeah, he takes the red. He takes the red, and he gets out for free. He'll move in onto 𝘀𝗁, but he has a 𝘁𝗁𝗺 bearing down on him. There's a Realm Warp as well, but they decide not to actually follow up.
Look at 𝘁𝗁𝗺.
I think they could have gone through here, and look at the turnaround with that Nami wave. The Jhin ultimate is coming through. 𝘁𝗁𝗺 can't find the last bit of damage. Somehow everyone is living.
Wait, how did no one die? So many nice plays. 𝘁𝗁𝗺 actually hitting an amazing Nami combo there, and then 𝘁𝗁𝗺 is going absolutely insane under tower. Doesn't even get punished by the tower that much. And of course 𝘁𝗵 on the Syndra can't really deal damage to 𝘁𝗁𝗺 if he's in his ultimate. Everyone just walks away, and well, I guess we sort ourselves back to our original lanes as the bot lane is returning to the bot lane. Interesting enough, nothing really has happened in the bot lane, even though it's a very explosive combo. We have Lucian Nami against Jhin Leona. We had some scraps early on, but nothing really came of it. No huge skirmishes leading to 2v2 kills or anything of the likes. So everyone just scaling up nicely. And well, 𝘁𝗔 on the Lucian, I would have liked to see him accelerate a little bit more in the early game. We have seen very good Lucian performances, not really from 𝘁𝗔, more from some of the other prolific Lucian players in our league. Of course, Police comes to mind, 𝘂𝗻, I should say. So on the other side, they definitely know how to play with a good Lucian. So now it's on 𝘁𝗔 and 𝘁𝗁 to show us that they can carry from the bot lane as well. Analysts were surprised, let's say, to see Lucian Nami given away this freely, but maybe BTS is just calling Flash out on the Lucian Nami and saying, well, we can give it to you because you can't carry from bot lane. So it's on 𝘁𝗔 as the Lucian player. Yeah, it is definitely dangerous. It's very almost arrogant way of playing the game and drafting the game, but we are playing best of 3, so now is the best time to do so, because you get such a huge advantage if this actually works. Think back to yesterday, 𝘁𝗶 against Cerberus. Everyone agreed that 𝘁𝗶 had the better comp, and then Cerberus stomped them, and suddenly game 2 looks super bleak in drafting phase, because what can you do? You outdrafted them in game 1 and you lost anyway, so then you're in a very, very bad position. So this looks a little bit like that. Again, BTS in a very comfortable position, snowballing the dragons, and also going towards a very comfortable gold lead at 3k at 50 minutes.
They pick up that second herald as well, as we do have a fight breaking out in the mid lane. 𝘂𝗻 has gone low, but 𝘁𝗔 stepping away from the deadly flourish. 𝘁𝗵 with a lovely scat of the week to defuse any further play out of BTS.
Yeah, we can definitely see his individual performance on the Syndra is looking great. He has had very good Syndra games, as I said before, and showing us once again that he's confident and competent on the champion. So now he only has to find a way to carry the rest of his team. Yoshino, so far we haven't seen anything from Yoshino, just a very quiet top lane, which is, I think, always good for Ryuk and Skye. Ryuk came in week 1, with very weak performances. And then week 2, he's coming together as a decent top laner. He's not looking like a liability anymore. And this is exactly what Sky needed from their top lane. Just be consistent, just be decent, add to the team fights, react to your plays. And then you have Armin and 𝘀𝘀 as your big carries. 𝘀𝘀 as your big playmaker. You don't really need to be the main carry if you're Ryuk.
You certainly don't. Just needs to get into fights as this now, be a frontline, hopefully mash some people into the wall. Nothing super difficult there. We just need to see 𝘀𝘀. He's who I really am looking at to carry Sky in this composition. Our main aim on the Jhin is not exactly a carry, as I'm sure you know your way. But he is still very dangerous at 2-0 and 2.
And these are the comps where Jhin can really be one of the main contributors. Maybe not the main DPS carry, but still one of the main carries when it comes to securing the kills and setting up some of the CC, because Ryze Jhin is a very good combination. Oh, no time for that. Dante once again walking into his own doom.
He has the Heartbreaker to get away, but 𝘁𝗵 has Nout. Your way and Ryuk will claim that kill. The Syndra is dead as the third Drake looms for Sky.
That's so unfortunate for 𝘁𝗵. It makes him look back, but he was looking at Dante's screen most likely, and they were screaming, we need to save Dante, and then 𝘁𝗵 just walks a little too far forward. He has no ability to escape, no flash, of course no mobility spells, so he's just toast. Very easy kill, and another tower, should be another tower in mid lane as well. This game actually looking super dominant now for BTS, and I'm so impressed by this team. If you remember our very first podcast, I was actually putting them number 5 in our league, and then week 1 made me look like a fool, but week 2 they're actually coming together. They look, all the players are on a new level, it seems like, and our playoff race has suddenly gotten very, very interesting, with 𝘀𝑺 faltering a little bit, SBTC looking worse in week 2, 𝘀𝑚 still looking strong, so we have like 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 teams contesting for the 4 spots, and BTS is actually one of those.
I feel like with how BTS is playing, I think there's the 3 kind of strata of VCS teams. I think we've got a pretty firm top 3 of 𝘀𝑚, Cerberus, 𝘀𝑚 at the moment. Those are our top 3, and then 𝘀𝑺, SBTC, and BTS are kind of all in that second layer. And then Team Secret and Team Flash, I think, are sort of in the no-hopers at the moment. Prove me wrong, as I always say. So the fact that BTS have been able to move themselves up to potentially be competing for that 4th spot is really impressive, because, yeah, you had a lot more faith in them before the split started than I did, or before really more than really any of us did. So it's good to see that rewarded. This is a team we've wanted to show us more for a long time.
Yeah, and I think back to last split, where a lot of our broadcasts were actually already fans of this team, or specific players of the team, right? As 𝘀𝑚 is one of Rebel's favorite. Dante, no, please. Stay in your jungle.
He's got ult and flash. He was in his jungle, to be fair. I don't think he has a jungle anymore. 𝘁𝑺, very lucky to get away, as that Rift Herald gets off a second charge that it had absolutely no right to get off. But regardless, the inner tower will take a chunk after that first tower did break open. We also saw Sky pick up a Cloud Dragon, putting them on Soul Point. So they are just completely dominating at the moment. It's hard to even see a route back in here for Team Flash.
And they've always been a very good mid-game, late-game team when it comes to team fighting, but also in their macro concepts. And it shows. They still look like a very decent, a very well put together team later on in the game. Their big struggle was always the early game. Now their early game is actually on average positive, just slightly, but they're also 2 and 3. So after this series, it should be much, much higher in the statistical, with the numbers at 15. So everything looking great for this team, and yeah, they should be able to close this out very consistently, very easily. They have actually shown us some good macro rotations, and yesterday we had Cerberus against 𝘀𝑺, and everyone was flaming the macro of the 2 teams, just fighting non-stop, and Sky is supposedly a weaker team in the league, actually showing us some good understandings of objective priorities and just taking tower after tower, not taking any unnecessary risks. We are only on 8 kills at 21 minutes. Are we even watching VCS? This is just...
They have the opposite issue of basically every other VCS team. Most VCS teams, even our good ones, very good mechanical players. They have great hands, but their decision making is lacking and their macro is lacking. This team's kind of the opposite. The decision making is good. The macro is not fantastic, but it's not terrible. But the mechanics sometimes let them down. So if they can, get up to the VCS standard when it comes to hands, this is a good team.
Yeah, and they always have been the team with the lowest combined kills per minute. Last split they had, oh no, the 0.8 combined kills per minute, which sounds ridiculous to say as the lowest team. But of course, we had 𝘀𝐺B with 1.2 or something, so it was a huge difference. And usually this team is more reluctant to take unnecessary fights. In this position here, I think they can be a little bit more aggressive to go back to this particular game as we have been zooming out, because nothing really has happened. A little bit of the symptom of the slower teams. But yeah, in this game, I think after securing the soul, they can be a little bit more assertive, move forward more aggressively. We've already seen 𝘀𝗀 struggle to even farm a single camp in his own jungle, so I'd like to see them invest a little bit more time into clearing out vision, setting up some traps maybe to get 𝘀𝗀, to kill 𝘀𝗀 again, maybe Yoshino in rotation. Then it should be smooth sailing towards Baron, towards inhibitors, and then closing the game at around 30 minutes. I think that's on the cards right now. But let's see how they can execute on that game plan.
We'll have to see. There is still plenty of room for some VCS fiesta. But so far, as you said...
There we go, the aggressive play.
Controlled. Yeah, ooh, it's just a vision realm warp. He's not going to actually ride that one. But it is enough to scare 𝘀𝗀.
I was getting ready. The fight was brewing. But no, it's BTS. They don't actually go for this. And I think we have to praise them.
Why? They shouldn't. Yeah.
And especially with the dragon coming up in 20 seconds, made no sense whatsoever to go for the fight if it's not a 100% secured fight. So why would you go for it? You already have big control on the bot side of the river. And 𝘀𝗀 actually went down to half HP, but he has teleport, so he should be fine. We see Flash with huge issues getting back to the dragon, so they just invest all their teleports, all their resources to cheat their way up the river. And they actually get first to the objective, so main objective for their composition is secured.
Look at Ryuk's Nahbar though. Look at the Nahbar, it's perfect.
It's beautiful. Oh!
The overall doesn't do much, and bang, 2 immediately into the wall. You could see it coming before the fight even begun, and immediately the bot lane from Team Flash has been removed. 𝘀𝗀 goes low, but he does not go down. We'll get some delicious honey for it to heal him back up as Yoshino has to face the music. Jhin firing away. Ryuk will actually claim the kill. The soul will be secured, and Sky, they're playing perfectly.
Get ready, VCS fans. You have another contender for if you like a little bit more macro play. If you're bored by all the VCS action every single game, I'm not sure how you could be. But if you are, this is the team for you. This is almost textbook from BTS, and when can we ever say it's textbook play in the VCS? Perfect setup, very nice flank from Ryuk. They used their control on the bot lane to set him up for an amazing flank. He gets 2 targets immediately. They move to the Baron. It's also Elder Dragon time in 5 minutes, so everything is going their way. There's no chance for Flash whatsoever. And yeah, they're the weakest team in the league. Yes, it does make Sky look better maybe than they are, but this is just super solid play. There's nothing you can fault them for. Just very good target selection as well. The 2 frontliners go on the back line, immediately delete them. 𝘀𝗀 tanks a little bit of the pressure early on, and then, yeah, look at Yoshino, he can't do anything. Just Ellie and Ryuk following up. This is Jhin Dreamland. He can just rely on his front line to go in and just contribute a little bit more damage from behind. So even though their composition maybe was looking like if 𝘀𝗀 falls behind, they could struggle in the late game in terms of just damage output. But he didn't fall behind, so they don't have to worry about a single thing. And everything looks so smooth for this team.
Look at 𝘀𝗀, just so far up. Absolutely no care in the world out of this.
I'm excited to hear Rebel's opinion on 𝘀𝗀, one of his favorite players, of course. Deleting one of his hated champions, Syndra. That's 𝘀𝗀.
Very true. As they will pick up another kill there onto 𝘀𝗀. He is having a terrible time. He's definitely not being given a tour through hell this time. He's definitely one of the sinners. He's now 0-4 on this 𝘂𝗀. Baron minions firing away on this tower. The siege is well and truly on your way. And it's just Team Flash doesn't even have like a route to get onto them. It has to be a mad flank by 𝘀cie. That's the only hope.
And they actually upped the tempo a little bit now. They are very confident now with extra soul, with the 10k gold lead, with the Baron under the belts. They actually move in a little bit more aggressively than they have done the last 10 minutes, and I like to see that. Just change the tempo according to the game state. Level 15 𝘀cie, he's very close to the big rise power spike, and this should be another inhibitor as Flash has to scramble and run away. Oh my, no!
Oh.
That's a solo
No
kill.
one played
Jhin
bodyguard
solo
for...
kill.
It looks very fancy when he does it, as that will take 𝘁𝗏𝗏 down. TSM ready, as they are now 11,000 gold behind. Dante, you cannot keep walking forward, as he does get spotted up.
This is not your jungle anymore, Dante. Go back to your base.
Dante, you don't win this. He's going to try and take it. There is a smite. 𝘀𝗏𝗏 thinks he has backup, and he's half right. 𝘀𝗏𝗏 actually could be in trouble, but calls in the teleport, has to buy some time now. Wind becomes lightning, does a lot of damage on Dante, and Ryuk has arrived. He needs to get into this Mega Gnar form. Smacks Dante into the wall, just guaranteeing his jungler's retreat.
And 𝘀rie used his ultimate to get closer, so they can't really collapse immediately with the Rise Ult either. This is just BTS. Wow, Harvey is still on point with these stunts, though.
Going though, Yoshino uses the slicing maelstrom, but it's not enough, as the core drinker will get 𝘀𝗏𝗏 up to a pretty healthy health total. 𝘁𝑎O charging forward. Can't quite find the stun onto Dante. The man who started all of this will 𝘀𝗏𝗏 away with his top laner and his mid laner paying the price.
And 𝘁𝗏𝗏, can you hear that sound? The flip, 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 flip. It's the wallet diff. I think they're slapping them with their wallets. It's just going flip, flip, flip.
Oh, but Sky will move in onto the Nexus, take down the towers. Team Flash, they go out not with a bang, but with a whimper, as the Jhin ult is just for a little bit of fun. It gets cancelled because it doesn't really matter. The Nexus will fall, and what a dominating performance from Sky.
Wow, they blew my expectations out of the window. 28 minutes, and there was never in this game, even from minute 2 onwards, from the first invade that went horrible for Dante, there was no doubt in my mind that they would be the victors of this game. Once again, sub 29 minutes. Their average game time is actually sub 29 minutes as well. This was our late game team, our horrible early game team that only won games in the late games through team fights. They're so different now. They're actually looking like a very, very decent team. Let's see if they can repeat that success with the next game against Flash.
We'll have to find out. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Don't go anywhere, guys. Game 2 of Sky taking on Flash will be here soon.
Party.
Welcome back to the VCS Analyst Disc, ladies and gentlemen. We saw a game number 1 filled with solid action from the side of BTS, and as expected, taking away our first game and getting themselves one step closer to, as 𝘀𝗀𝗋 said, into our 4th seed if they were to win this next game. A shocking revelation to come as we are approaching our halfway point very, very rapidly. Welcome back to the desk, gentlemen. And 𝘀𝗏𝗀, let's start with this discussion because we wanted to talk about bot lane, and they have this 𝘀𝗀 and this Nami, and things are exciting. We're like, okay, 𝘁𝗏𝗏's back, 𝘁𝗏𝗄's been having a good split, they get this powerful bottom lane duo, and then didn't really come to much. What happened?
Well, I gotta be fair. I feel like they didn't really have a chance to show off how powerful that bot lane is when Dante decides to give over Jhin a kill early on, and then decides to come back and give him another kill. So all of a sudden, you're 2 kills down in lane. You may have a broken bot lane, but that doesn't give you 700 gold in that bot lane. So it's a bit upsetting for them. I feel like that bot lane, if it was isolated, would have done a lot better for them, and they might have been able to snowball. But at the end of the day, Dante just came in and was like, nope, you don't get to play this one out, and took that opportunity away from them.
They did. And I believe, I don't want to pick on Flash too much, because again, this is a very young team and our expectations of them should be kept relatively low. So let's stay on the bright side of things, Clockwork. Why don't you talk to me about some of the things that Flash actually did well during the course of this game?
Absolutely. And as Gizmo mentioned, Dante definitely made the game harder for Flash, but I maintain, as I said in week one, that Flash has a good understanding on of some phases of the early game, particularly the first Herald setup. And we can see, for example, on the clip that they took a page out of the Korean playbook where they have the support uh, get to level 6 before the opposing support, which is what happened for Palat and Elio. In this case, we can see that he's a level head, so they are primed for taking this Herald fight, and we can also see that 𝗁𝗏 has prio over 𝘀𝗀, so the setup is actually okay for Flash. But then the ulti gets thrown away. The focus is abysmal, and the fight gets poorly executed. So the setup, the preparation to the first Herald fight is actually good for Flash. They have a better understanding of this than most VCS teams, which we have been criticizing for a lot of first Herald flips. Flash could potentially not do that, but then they somehow end up fumbling the fight that comes afterwards. So this is something that I think they can keep doing, and it is a good base that they can start, fixing their early game with. But it doesn't seem to come to anything.
In a league that is dictated so heavily by what is effectively the first Herald flip that we get in 80% of our games minimum, if not more, a Flash team that's been able to secure, better options, even if they're not quite coming to fruition, is at least good signs for a very young team. I agree with you on that point. Now, walking into game number 2, obviously, we have a really good-looking BTS team. I come to the prediction, of course, that I had 2-1. I'm not sure if you two have your predictions readily available and want to share those specifically, but after the series, you can always, lie and say that you also predicted BTS, just like me and the 𝘀𝗀 fan club did. But I want to actually play a game with you two right now. There is a player that caught my eye that I wanted to talk about a little bit during the course of this split. And what I want both of you to do is I want you to put that player into my words. Which player is it on one of these teams that's giving you a fair amount of surprise and is having a good performance that I might say? And I'm going to say right now, it's not 𝘀𝗀 and it's not 𝘀𝗀. It's one of the other 8 players. I want both of you to take a shot and tell me which player is standing out to you as somebody that's actually having, I think, a better than average performance than what your expectation might be. And I'll start with you, Clockwork, because you are a veteran, so you give Gizmo a little bit more time to think about the answer.
Okay, so as Yule always says, I'm a bit biased towards the support. So in theory, my first pick would be Elio, but I cannot overlook Almina's performance. I think he's making really the difference between the BTS that was and the BTS that is, and he keeps doing, like, Jin wasn't supposed to be one of his good picks, and he still showed up. So it seems that he keeps improving despite already being quite okay in the league.
And as we're starting into the very beginning of the draft, assumably we're going to get a chance to see the last game's draft as well, as that's happened the last 4 times we've had games here in the VCS. Gizmo, give me your answer as well, just because as we start to load in, we'll get a chance to see bans and stuff come through. It'll set us a little bit more stage. What is your guess? Which player are you looking at from one of these 2 squads that you would imagine that I am having some good impressions about?
When you first said a surprise, I thought it was Dante, because he's just surprising everyone with those invades all the time. But I think, would it be 𝗁𝗏? Because they had a great performance this game on that Syndrome, being able to pick up a few kills. Not able to convert it though, due to the diving style of 𝘀𝗏. But for the most part, I mean, he played pretty well, I think, and was able to pick up and maybe turn Dante's plays into at least a kill on the backside. So I feel like they were able to pick up stuff where they probably shouldn't have been able to.
See, this comes as 2 sides. As number 1, I have now forced both of you to pick players to keep your eyes on during the course of this series. Now keep your eyes on 𝘂𝗏 versus 𝗁𝗏 as 2 players to kind of watch during this. Number 2, I get to keep you both on the edge of your seats, as well as all of our lovely audience, because this answer will not be coming until after the break from this game. So stay tuned for my pick of which player from this series has actually been impressive me as we've gotten into the draft. Galio banned. love that. Gotta love that coming out from the side of VCS as they grab also the Graves. I think that's a pick that they've been needing to get under their belt for the entirety of split. I talked about that just earlier this week about how good that champion is. And already, crime beyond comparison with the Jhin and the combination with the Syndra on the side of Flash. Gentlemen, please start talking because otherwise I'm going to start maulding, and we don't want a maulding fox here hosting the desk against Team Flash.
Okay, so I might start saying that this start of draft by 𝘀𝘀_sky should actually please you very well because they understood that 𝘁𝗧's Syndra, despite being one of his best champions, is not actually a problem for them. Okay, you can have the Syndra. What then? We're not worried about that. You can have the Jhin. We're bypassing that. We're having better AD carries for our Omine. So yeah, this is like a good moment for you because the Syndra is not being prioritized in any way by 𝘀𝘀sky.
Yeah, and I mean that they've also given over the Xin Zhao though to Flash, which is I believe one of Dante's better picks. I don't think I want to see the Viego again, so I'm happy to see that they've given that to him. And hopefully, when he does those invades this time, he'll have the damage to follow through with them and actually maybe get something back from them. And of course, the Jhin long range will be able to help follow up with those. So, pretty. I like what they're doing to try and cover for this.
It's I talked a bit about how 𝘀𝘀sky, when they've been comfortable earlier, usually they've got powerful lanes. It's a very powerful lane they've got set up on the bottom side, and when they also aren't making these super aggressive plays, which I know our casters talked about, the comparison I actually made was from between what was last game and what they've been kind of bridging towards, which was this less aggressive, just attack everything, flip everything type mindsets to some extent. Kind of resembles Flash. Not to any extent, not Flash they're playing against, 2020 Flash, who actually took both the spring and the summer split against the side of 𝘀𝗀, who are the longtime champions. And it's a comparison that I think has a little bit of breadth to it. We need a lot more from Sky to really fully get that description, but we'll see that come to fruition if they continue this strategy of not losing every single fight and losing every game off the back of a flip. As we are getting the rounding out of the composition, is there anything that Flash can do to try to, bring themselves back to life here?
I'd take a Nami here, but looks like they're going for the Gragas to kind of interrupt the NF combo, which they look like they're playing for with the Leona, so it's a pretty good pickup. Also can go top lane if they wanted to, but I'm pretty sure it's just going to be bot lane due to the Eve having that, the fastest knockup speed, so it takes Leona out of her E. This does allow Yoshino to get the counter pick, and we all know that he's the carrier of that team, really, so I'm excited to see what he's going to pick into this Renekton here.
And they also sacrificed basically 𝘁𝗧's pick, picking for him a line Syndra, which 𝘀𝘀sky had no problem taking the Rise into, which is pretty smooth. I don't know if saving your counter pick to then give Yoshino a Gnar is a wise choice, but definitely makes for a little bit easier execution in the team fights, because with the Syndra, with the Jhin, and the Xin Zhao, it's probably not as easy as 𝘀𝘀sky composition, which is another one of great press R combos that we have seen to be very effective in the VCS so far, and ease of execution is always something that we value a lot when teams in the bottom halves of the standings are matching against each other.
It's like I dare say this composition from 𝘀𝘀sky is about near what is effectively like the Thanos composition, is what we like to call it in North America, where they have the assembly of all 5 gemstones, right? They've got everything. The Renekton's been great for them. The Rise is one of Glory's best champions. This is Draktar's Graves, which is, if you two don't know, because I know you weren't around super rough, he was a pinch-hitting Graves. That was how he made his start in the VCS when I started, which was how I fell in love with him in the first place. So I'm very biased to BTS, but I want to hear kind of single instance, maybe one quick snippet. Who wins this game off these compositions, just off the beginning of the game? We'll start with you, Gizmo.
I think it's going to be BTS simply because you gave all your draft prior to Yoshino just to pick Gnar, and it's, yes, Gnar can win lane, but at the end of the game, it's just a tank. You won't have the solo carry potential on that champion. I would have much rather seen like a carry champion like Gwen or something like that picked up for him. And obviously, today so far, it doesn't look like that jungle's turned up to play, so it's looking kind of rough for them, and I think 𝘀𝘀 has turned up and is really popping off. So I think they're looking really good.
I apologize, Clockwork, as you're not going to get any line because I want to throw over to our casters, 𝘀𝗰𝗃 and 𝘀𝗈, who are going to step into game number 2 here between 𝘀𝑇he and Team Flash.
Well, as one of the OG VCS English crafters, this is something we've seen a lot of in terms of sort of a team that I think doesn't know how to get back into this game because, I don't know, I understand our analysts had a lot of breakdown to do, but I'm not too convinced by this Flash composition. Though 𝘀𝗏 going back on his 𝘀𝑔𝑟𝑎𝑔𝑢s is definitely a classic.
It's a classic for sure. This 𝘀𝗏 𝘀𝑔𝑟𝑎𝑔𝑢s, I'm not sure if I'm convinced by it. Maybe it's just, okay, we can't win anyway, so just let me have fun on my favorite champion, maybe. Let's hope that's not the case. Let's hope it's a legitimate strategy and a lot of setup. They have an insane amount of CC in this composition. 𝘀𝗏 is trying to get a nice trade on 𝘂𝑚, and this is actually
succeeding.
Yeah, that's not bad. 𝘂𝑚 has to.
Yeah, he's bearing down on him. 1 second away from another Q. He hits him, takes him down to half health. Pretty good. That's pretty much exactly what you want.
Yeah, pretty good start from 𝘀𝗏, who, as we said in game 1 already, is improving pretty rapidly. Very good to see for BTS. And 𝘂𝑚 is a big test for this top laner. 𝘂𝑚 is among our best top laners, though actually looking at the stats, 𝘂𝑚 has never been super lane dominant, to be fair, especially since going away from just being a reserve player that comes in to play Fiora. Of course, he was lane dominant on Fiora. Now that he's a starting player and a star at that, he's not that big of a laner anymore. As we see, 𝘁𝗏 once again showing us some nice Syndra zoning. But yeah, he's not that much about laning. He's actually behind in lane most of the time. Some of that is going to be his team and taking bad fights, like the Herald flip. That is going to affect your laning performance. But he's not a 𝘀𝗰𝗃, he's not a 𝘁𝑚id in terms of lane dominance, or coated, you could even say. So this is a decent test for 𝘀𝗏, but this is not how it's supposed to go. That's unfortunate.
Definitely not. 𝘂𝑚 kind of giving him the business there. Evening out that early trade, making it even better. He is just using ranged top laner things up against this Renekton. Not exactly where 𝘂𝑚 wants to be, but of course does open up the possibility of 𝘀𝗀 wandering up there, though with his clear being in the wrong direction, that's a long, long way away, and Dante will be the first one to step out onto the top side of the map.
Very slow early minutes, no early invade for a big disadvantage, so that's already a good start for Flash.
Dive though.
Oh, 𝘀𝗏 is the Renekton, can be hard to dive, and there's a teleport
Dante
for
on
Glory.
a ward.
Yep, there it is.
Yep, he's going to immediately use it. This immediately calls the play off. Good awareness there, but they do get the Rise's teleport as...
And in the meantime, in the bot lane...
In the bottom lane, the end of the line is being thrown out. They're trying to get forward onto 𝘂𝑚, but there is no chance of it. But 𝘀𝗏 goes low, and he burns to death.
So close, 𝘀𝗏 using absolutely everything to get away with his life. They're even trying to heal with a passive, but it's not quite enough. First blood to 𝘂𝑚, and Dante just wrapping around. He wants to make this happen, but oh, he's teleporting back in full vision, and there's another teleport. This should be an easy dive
and
now.
They put down a teleport ward for 𝘁𝗏 to use. He's coming directly out of base, off his first back with that Dark Seal. This is a dead crocodile. He's going to try and turn something around. Can he press Q? He can't!
Oh, another dive.
Bot lane 𝘂𝗏. This is the opposite of last game where we had a very slow, measured early game. Now it's action, action, action. Tower dive, tower dive, tower dive.
And both teams just handshaking on diving the other side of the map. This time around, a big advantage for Team Flash, though. They had to invest an insane amount to get this kill, though. So Flash, not Flash use, but teleport use from 𝘁𝗏. So both mid laners now without teleport. But of course, he teleported and got the kill. So better teleport usage from 𝘁𝗏. He also got the kill. It gets the kill, so he's off to a great start and might be able to carry this game. 𝘀𝗏 used teleport and flash, so he's now in a very, very bad spot into 𝘂𝑚, and probably has to play very defensively till level 6 at least, because that dive can be repeated. It's not super easy. Point and click CC is always pesky to deal with. He's very tanky naturally as well with the sustain and so on, but still, a dive is possible if Dante fancies the return.
Yeah, of course they can. They just have to play around 𝘂𝑚's Nahbar, really. Should be level 6 by the time he fills that up again. And by the time Dante has cleared out the bot side of his camps and can move back up here. So this Crocodile needs to be on notice for any further aggression out of Team Flash. And they've started this game off much, much better your way, keeping things even, unlike the last, whereby this time Dante had already died twice.
I'm a little bit confused as to why BTS is still ahead in gold. Assist gold probably from the first kill, because that's worth 600 gold compared to a normal kill that's 450.
Yeah,
so
and a plate.
Yep.
Also a plate.
Oh, a plate. Yeah, they got a plate in the bot lane. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, it's very even, so almost not worth talking about. But of course, there's not really much else going on, so we can wonder about this gold distribution. They fixed the unknown players bug, as we have another engaged 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀. But this is dangerous. Dante's here.
Make it rain, slowing them down. Yeah, Dante's here. This is completely splitting them apart. 𝘀𝑇𝑖𝑜's just going to try and go for the 1-for-1, but 𝘁𝗀𝗃 with a fourth shot will take this Leona down, but it's two very low health bars, and 𝘀𝑚ine can still turn it around with another Make It Rain. But 𝘀𝗃 is just going to ward them around. Ward them off, I should say.
Unfortunately for 𝘀𝑇𝑖𝑜, 𝘀𝗻𝗃 is not on the game anymore. This could have been a kill a few seasons ago, but he doesn't really have the auto attack damage nowadays to stick to 𝘁𝗀 and kill him. So it's an easy kill for 𝘁𝗀. Very nice rotation from Dante, and Team Flash making moves to get ahead in the early game. And we've talked about this. BTS is now much more of an early game team than before. So this is, I mean, concerning is maybe too strong a word to use, considering they're even in gold still and taking the first dragon right now. But it's not quite as comfortable as the first game was.
Not even close, as they will secure this first dragon, so they add an objective to their roster. Dante
Sure,
pokes his
drop
head in,
first.
he's on the Xin Zhao. I'm not sure either, but 𝘀𝑚ine, he's in trouble as he's had a Gragas bearing down on him.
Where is
Colette
he?
doing so much damage, ignite him. 𝘁𝗀 is going low, but 𝘀𝗃 will arrive first. But Dante flashing over the wall will make sure he gets involved first. And now 𝘀𝗃 trying to ward them off on the other side. 𝘀𝑇𝑖𝑜 will take out 𝘁𝗀. The Jhin is gone. Teleports are being used. Realm Warps are being committed your way. It's a party in the bot lane.
Everyone's here.
As Harvey being bared down on 𝘀𝑇𝑖𝑜 needs to try and get a stun. The collateral damage used onto Dante, just trying to buy distance. They have just decided to sacrifice 𝘀𝑇𝑖𝑜. You poor man.
Wait, why? I'm really confused by that decision from Sky. They had the wave in a better position. Dante was completely out of the fight. They had almost full HP bars. I mean, Glory was low on mana, but still, it's probably enough for one combo at least. That was a peculiar decision to just leave him out to dry. 𝘀𝑇𝑖𝑜, super sad so far about how this game has gone. Aggressive plays left, right, and center. But he's just left out to die. And they're already setting up the rotation for the Rift Herald, so this seems to be something well practiced from Team Flash, and this is good to see. A team that's struggling to pick up even individual games, at least they're showing us some nice adaptations in terms of the macro game. They're not ahead of the curve, but Harvey needs to be careful. They have a lot of CC between those two players.
But Dante is here, and this Xin Zhao does a hell of a lot of damage. 𝘂𝑚𝑖ne was close by as well, so BTS don't want to make anything out of this one, as it is the rotate for the Herald. Misfortune is not here. Sky should just surrender this.
I'm still waiting for the replay, but we just don't have the time. It's another play in Flash, as we said before. They're first to the objective. This time it's Sky's time to collapse. And look at 𝘀𝑇𝑖𝑜. He's a big crocodile.
Dominus is used. He's waiting for the opportunity to go over the wall. There it is, and it is going to be taken away from with the smite from 𝘀𝗃. And look at this crocodile dealing so much damage. Dante goes low. Dante goes down. On the other side, Glory will solo out Harvey. He's not quite a solo, I tell a lie, but it's close enough. 𝘂𝑚𝑖ne can't get anything done in the front line, and the collapse is here your way. They were here in a flash. They were gone in a flash, and Team Flash is gone.
You can't tell me it's a 5-0. No, that's so insane.
5-0.
Oh, it's a déjà vu from the last game. Good macro setup, but then the hands just fail them. Oh, it's such a tragedy, and this is sadly what happens
Every
often.
time.
They're well coached, but they're all rookies, and the setup is risky. They don't know where 𝘀𝑇𝑖𝑜 is, and look at all the CC. It's so hard to fight against them. And 𝘀𝑇𝑖𝑜 actually redeeming himself I mean, he didn't have to redeem himself for me, but maybe for the rest of his team. But he's so aggressive still, just flashing in, permanently seeing all the targets. This MF ult, we don't talk about it, but the rest of the team is smurfing. And, Well, 𝘁𝗔, he really tried to get away there, but 𝘀𝑺 is heat-seeking.
You'll wait, they didn't even get the Herald.
No, I know. They lost absolutely everything. It's so...
What a disaster. Oh, no. Yeah, Flash, as you said, they were just let down a little bit by their hands. I thought, Sky, you can't take that fight. 𝘀𝗀𝗋 is so far away, but... Nope. Turns out it just doesn't matter here in the Clash of the Week. Yoshino is going to push up. He'll get himself a tower plate. This man, someone needs to have a look at a chiropractor for him because things are rough.
And when you go down 0-5, it's really hard to talk about positives, but I still want to go back to the point and say I actually see some nice coaching on the side of Flash. They know how to set up. They know how to set up the Herald rotation and when to move that bot lane into the top side of the map. 2 games in a row, they've now been first on the play. Unfortunately, the execution has really left them when it came to the fights. This game even worse than last game, but 𝘀𝑺 once again wandering somewhere.
Yeah, this one he might need to make up for because, yeah,
A
that was
generous.
a lost 𝘀𝗧.
He's feeling bad for the new players on the other side, so... Oh, man. Well, Dante is searching... Oh, that's
that
actually
was
really
close.
sad for 𝘀𝗀, though, because he missed out on all the gold, so everything going to 𝘀𝗀, who is in a big threat in this game. Look at that. 3-0-3 on Graves. It's the Graves against Jhin. Which one will 𝘀𝗧 hate less in this game? It looks like Graves is the one, even though it's Jungle Graves,
Well,
which I
look,
despise. But
𝘀𝗀 is the one person who we decided on Friday when you weren't here that he is allowed to
He's
play
allowed?
Jungle Graves.
he's actually
He's the
100%
one
win
that's
rate, I
allowed.
believe, on Jungle
Exactly.
Graves. Yep.
You can't take that away from him. He's the one that's allowed.
And to be fair to him, he's actually a very proactive and gank-heavy Jungle Graves, which doesn't really make sense conceptually, but somehow he's making it work, so all power to 𝘀𝗀. When he makes Graves look like an actual champion, I'm okay with him playing Graves, because then I don't actually have to watch Graves do nothing for 20 minutes.
Exactly. This one, there we go. Write it down. Someone clip it. There's permission being given to 𝘀𝗀 to play Jungle Graves from the #1
It's the
Graves
highest
hater
honor,
himself.
by the way. It's the highest honor I
It
can
really
ever
is.
bestow on anyone.
As 𝘀𝗀𝗋 will walk up, get another 160 gold for his trouble, has the Kraken Slayer on this MF. What do you think of that mythic choice? Something we haven't really talked about.
It feels really good to play. I'm personally not a hater of crit MF. I think crit MF is fine. I know in most situations it's probably not the optimal build, but I personally, just for laning purposes, and the 1-item power spikes feels really good, because you get wave clear with the Noon Quiver item, and the combo on 1 item is actually quite strong. So I don't hate it. I think it's decent. They don't really need his consistent DPS, so I'm not sure why you went for it in this game. That's a little bit confusing to me, but maybe he's looking at the enemy team and saying, well, I can never ult for more than half a second because they have insane amounts of CC, so let's just go for auto attacks instead.
Harvey's in trouble. Good flash, but they're just going to realm warp their Leona forward. Hello, it's 𝘀𝗀𝗀. He gets scattered away, though, and Harvey makes his escape.
Harvey's still on point with those. Look at his stats, 2-1-1, and there we go again.
Ooh, 𝘀𝗀𝗋 making something happen. 𝘀𝗀𝗋 has to flash away immediately, but Yoshino will come in to claim him. It's a good Leona ult to hold him back, but it's going to be a 2-for-0 for Flash out of nowhere.
And I've cracked the code. Flash just has to avoid 5v5 teamfights, because those cannot go in their way. But as long as they just skirmish and go for ganks, it seems to be fine. 8-7 now. They've recovered greatly from the 0-5 trade they did earlier this game. They're only 1 kill behind. Sure, they're still at around a 2k gold deficit and 2 dragons already on the side of BTS, but it's not unfathomable to see Flash somehow winning this game, or at least putting in a decent showing. Not going down pre-30 minutes like they've done so many times already.
Yeah, and look, once again, I know it's not a pick that everyone in our community likes to see, but 𝘀𝗋 does know how to play a mean Gragas.
Oh, yes.
He got that one going very well, split Sky apart, and they just really weren't able to respond, and it did pick them up 2 kills, which is something we love to see. Team Flash, we know they're not going to win many games, so we have to look for the improvement where it exists.
Yeah, and I think 𝘀𝗋 is definitely putting in a good performance to make sure he's going to be the starter. I don't think 𝘁𝘁 is ready. From what I've seen, 𝘁𝘁 not the most impressive of supports, though he's actually a very fun stat. He's the only Flash player with a CS, with an average CS advantage at 50 minutes. Which, I mean, considering he's a support, so it doesn't really matter, but he is up 3 CS on average, which is better than any of his peers.
Very fancy. How impressive, as Flash will continue to hold BTS back here in this mid lane. The collapse is possible. 𝘀𝗀 bearing down. 𝘀𝗏 throws out the bell. 𝘁𝑎𝑈 once again. He will be the one-man sacrifice, but that's just a good recognition of the positioning by Flash.
Yeah, and
well
𝘁𝗀 not really in position to follow up on that.
No punish.
Well, and 𝘁𝗀 is very generous for that wonder that 𝘁𝑎𝑈 just put in there. So, and he's really struggling in the back half of this game. He had some amazing E's and very good CC setups in the fights, but his movement on the map and just how he conducts himself in between fights is not looking too great. I like 𝘁𝑎𝑈 a lot on Enchanters, where his mechanics really shine, but so far on this 𝘁𝗀 support in this game, he's dying a little bit too much. 5 deaths already, so he's more than half of the deaths of this team, which also means that the kills actually get diminishing returns for Flash, so maybe you have to deduce one of those deaths, one of those kills from the actual scoreline. As 𝘁𝗀 is still struggling in this matchup, 𝘂𝑚 controlling top lane.
Does he want to go under tower? He doesn't. I think that's a good decision. As you said, he is just controlling it. 𝘂𝑚 is someone that we really look to on Flash. He should be the bright light. Now, no top laner can carry alone. That's the bane of the top lane. But he is the captain of this team. He is someone that we've been incredibly impressed with in the past. Was part of the 2020 dominant Flash roster. So he has a lot of work to do.
So it looks like BTS wants to brute force this dragon. It can be a little bit dangerous because 𝘁𝗁 is super strong right now. 𝘂𝑚, if he gets to the old form, to the Mega Gnar, can actually be might be able to carry the fight as well. But he has to stack up his Gnar bar. It seems to be in a decent position though, so this is a dangerous fight for BTS. They could really throw away the series here. They need to be careful not to skip steps.
𝘁𝗔 gets chunked. They get a little bit onto 𝘁𝑎𝑈 in return. Everyone's still very healthy though, as the Cloud Drake, once again, 2 Cloud Drifts in a row.
Yeah, and it seems like BTS has
Skye. They just use the Herald to get... Yeah, they're just using the Herald to get their positioning at the moment.
Also like to see that Skye is actually aware of the fact that... Oh, never mind!
Oh, they're going on in as 𝘁𝗀 goes gold. He has to find a way out. There's the bullet time just going over the statue of 𝘁𝗁, but 𝘁𝗀 has a huge flank coming in from the far side. He slices, he dices, he kills a mid laner, but goes to the grave himself, and now Dante bearing down on 𝘀𝗀 doesn't throw out the E. 4v4 on the map at the moment, your way, but the favor of the health bars is definitely to Team Flash.
Yeah, Team Flash really revitalized after that early blunder and looking like the better team on the map. They're not really at the advantage right now when it comes to gold and dragons, but they still look more confident, and it seems like Skye has to go back to the drawing board and understand how to teamfight here. Of course, you also have to consider that 𝘁𝗁 just tanked the whole bullet time just with 1 item, which is of course the best item in the game. Stopwatch is down now though, so could be an opportunity to just punish 𝘁𝗁 over and over again. That is very short. Well, more of a bait than anything else.
What?
I'm not sure what that was, but he gets to walk away,
Hey,
so
𝘁𝗁?
all power to you, 𝘀𝗀.
I think 𝘂𝑚 might have just been as confused as I am, and just been, I just don't want to mess with that. I don't understand this.
He clearly doesn't know what he's doing, so how can I know? Hence too scary to fight against.
The greatest swordsman does not fear the second greatest swordsman. He fears the man who has just picked up a sword for the first time.
Exactly.
As they will just continue to farm it out. Flash in a much, much better position here, though they are still 2,000 gold down. That disastrous Herald fight still haunts them.
And as we have a little of a lull, or maybe a little of a reprieve, I should say, as maybe I should cut that point, as 𝘁𝗏 is looking for a dive, but 𝘁𝗀 is too tanky to dive, so don't go for that, 𝘁𝗏. Don't. Oh, I'm scared. This could be a really ugly dive.
It certainly could be, but he's pressed B your way. You can assuage your fears as he was just there to just cover 𝘁𝗵 off in case Ryuk wanted to go for anything. Oh, I'm scared, but Ryuk's well out of there.
Ryuk has
I think
no
they're just
MR.
going to give this tower up.
Yeah, I think
They're just going to give the tower.
Ryuk realized that he has no MR and actually could be vulnerable to the full combo of 𝘁𝗵 and 𝘁𝗏. So I like this decision once again, just trading towers. BTS or Sky. I'm still not used to saying Sky. They still burst the Sky, so still burst the BTS to me. Whatever. I want to look at the items here. Coming in, second item for 𝘀𝗀, who's getting scarier and scarier. But on the side of Flash, look at Yoshino.
Yoshino coming forward. They use the Jin ult. 𝘀𝗈's got to find his dancing shoes.
No!
He does a jig and gets on out of there.
It looks so unfortunate in hindsight for 𝘁𝗏 to move him away, but actually he just wanted to get the trigger of his item to get extra damage for the next shot for 𝘁𝗔. It just barely wasn't enough. So in the end,
I mean, he hit the shot after the barrel.
True. Yeah,
he hit the third shot after the barrel. It was just 50 damage short. That's just unfortunate.
Yeah, and they wanted to kill with one more shot, and that's why the barrel came in. It's extra damage, and it also triggers the Imperial Mandate. So that's all they wanted to do. It did look a little silly in hindsight, but yeah, just a little unfortunate. Just short in damage. Just one more longsword is probably enough to kill him there. This also means now Gragas ult is down. They might look for a fight here. 𝘀𝗀 has two items and blue buff. And there we go. 𝘁𝗵 no flash.
Never mind. This is an amazing play there. That Leona ult does so much damage, but the follow-up just isn't there. It's just a chunk. Gets them down to half health. But with no objective immediately available, this is not particularly scary.
Wait, Dante.
Realm Warp. Never mind, they're coming over. It's Ryuk taking the circle, but he just dies immediately to 𝘁𝗏. Dante is going low as well, but has the Crescent Guard up, but it doesn't keep him alive from 𝘀𝗀, who manages to find the damage. Will take him down. 𝘀𝗈 needs to find a way to contribute to this fight, because at the moment he has done nothing. And it's just a 1-1.
Just a stare down in mid lane, two against two, no one really fighting against each other and just saying, okay, who's moving first? We are hot on your heels. If you move, we move behind you and attack you from back. So no one is from the four players in the mid lane. Oh, 𝘁𝗏 in trouble. 𝘀𝗀 has a lot of damage.
Just barrels him away, though. 𝘀𝗈 moving
okay,
forward, gets
𝘀𝗀.
a good double up. 𝘁𝗵's in so much trouble. The Jin ultimate comes up, but it's going to do absolutely nothing as Elio slowly walks at him and just hits him with his shield. 𝘁𝗵 doing enough damage to possibly deter 𝘀𝗀. He damn well should,
𝘁𝗀.
as he needs to get out of there. 𝘁𝗀 with the moves will take down 𝘀𝗀 on the other side. Elio misses absolutely everything. Needs his sunglasses, because he was blind. Ryuk in trouble. It never gets to stop him, but he's okay. He's all right.
And I'm having a lot of fun looking at these two compositions, and now that we've seen some of the fights, because it's so different the way the two teams want to fight. Everything Team Flash does is disengage. All their champions have amazing disengage, right? Yoshino and Dante could also go for engage, but mostly it's just scatter the weak. It's 𝘁𝗔 with W's and E's to slow people down, and then 𝘁𝗏 with all his spells disengaging. So it's very, very hard for Sky to find a fight. They even tried to bypass all the front line by using the Realm Warp last time, but even then, immediate collapse from all of Team Flash's members meant Ryuk just died instantly. So very cool game to analyze the team fights in, as everything is about engage and disengage. And Sky needs to find a way to get there and hit the targets, because especially 𝘀𝗀, who has the most gold on the whole team, is really struggling to get on top of targets. He's low range, he's Grace, and most of the time, he probably has to flash in there, as he did in the last fight, so that opportunity is down for another 4 minutes. Let's see what 𝘀𝗀 can do in between. He's level 14, he's 2.5 items, so if he ever hits people, they are going to die very quickly. But can he hit people is the question.
That is, in fact, the question. As they did pick up a dragon there while you were talking. It was uncontested. Team Flash realized that second Cloud Drake doesn't do much for them, and they weren't in a position to fight, as Dante is caught out. There's a lot of CC on him. 𝘀𝗀 coming on in. Can he get the Rune Prison up? Dante will surf out with the E, and he'll survive just fine.
It's so frustrating to watch from B2S's position, but it's not over. Elio.
Oh, Elio. He doesn't get in the circle, or 𝘀𝗀 got interrupted. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was a barrel, actually. actually, that stopped him, but they get out.
There's so many funny instances of people just not attacking each other while there's a fight going on. 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 running for his life on one side, and then 𝘀𝗀𝗺 just right next to him, just chilling and killing a ward, while 𝘂𝑐𝗰𝗶 was looking at him, not even attacking him. It's a very weird game, but I'm having a lot of fun, because these teams are relentless in this game, and I think 𝘀𝗰 even got bored by their own style in the last game, playing the good macro game, showing the coach, okay, coach, you see this game? We can actually play like you want us to play, but now that's enough. That's enough for 2 weeks. We're back to VCS action. 23 kills in 25 minutes. Here we go. We're sub 1 kill per minute, so please, teams.
I mean, honestly, this is a very slow game regardless. Sub 1 kill per minute, absolute snooze fest here for the VCS. Need to see these two teams step it up a little bit. This is not what I want at all. As Team 𝘀𝗋ℎ do currently have full control over the Baron pit, but they're not going to pull the trigger on something like that. Their Baron damage is pretty shocking after all, but their damage on someone like Ryuk is not bad at all, and they force his flash. 𝘀𝗀𝗀 gets a stun in as 𝘀𝗀𝗺 bears down onto 𝘁𝗀𝗀, who uses his ult just to move forward, and the kill is so easy. On the other side, 𝘀𝗀𝗀 trying to find a way out, but it does not exist. This Leona dies again.
So they haven't forgotten all their macro. 𝘀𝗀𝗀 in the meantime pushing the bot lane, getting some experience towards that big level 16 power spike, and suddenly 𝘀𝗰 looking confident and again. If they get this tower, that's a lot of gold funneled into 𝘀𝗀𝗀. They also get the mid tower, so a huge play from 𝘀𝗀. Suddenly finding their brains again and playing a very solid game. But that's a huge shutdown.
𝘀𝗀𝗀, he's in so much trouble, but he's just going over the wall and saying, if I'm going to die, I'm taking one of you with me. And Glory will actually claim it. 𝘀𝗀𝗀, he still has his dash to get out of there. The Realm Warp as well, but it is not going to save his life. As Glory did everything he could.
I was so scared that he could get away with that, but fortunately they get the shutdown. Unfortunately for them, Dante gets the kill credit, and they still kill 𝘁𝗀𝗺, who's, in my opinion, the most important member on 𝘀𝗋ℎ's side. He's pretty fat, he's 4 kills and 200 CS into the game, but he's also the main target and the most vulnerable target, least amount of disengage and mobility on their team. So whenever 𝘁𝗁 dies, I think it's a very good sign for BTS to win the game. And if 𝘁𝗁 stays alive, if they can somehow protect him with all their disengage, then that's a good sign for 𝘀𝗋ℎ. I think he is the #1 target to keep your eyes on. He had to go for a little bit more of a defensive build, because he knows without Zhonya's he just dies all the time. But let's see if he can execute in the next few team fights. And the game is still, I wouldn't say on a nice edge. It is a significant advantage for 𝘀𝗀𝗀, and they are moving towards those big item power spikes, and 𝘀𝗀𝗀 is almost level 16, so I wouldn't say it's really a very close game, but it's still an exciting game, and there are chances for Team 𝘀𝗋ℎ to perform.
There are certainly chances, but with a 5-1 Graves, a 3-2 Rise, who's moving towards his 4th item, going a Frozen Heart as well, he's just going to be so tanky, just to make it so Xin Zhao can't dive on him as easy, I think.
No, I meant the teleport, sorry.
Oh. Thought you meant the Frozen Heart call. I think the Frozen Heart was quite good.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I wasn't ready to justify it.
That came out very badly. I'm very sorry. Apologies. I was just confused that 𝘂𝑐𝗰𝗍 decided to TP into bot lane for no apparent reason.
That was very sus. Yeah, but they do know he's there. They saw him. Glory will get some damage in onto Dante. Doesn't really want to take this fight completely, though. I tell a lie. Yes, he does. Needs to be careful as he goes down. And now 𝘁𝗀𝗀's got a 4-shot onto 𝘀𝗀𝗺, but it's not quite enough. He has to reload. The ultimate comes out. 𝘀𝗀𝗺, can you dodge? You cannot. And 𝘂𝑐𝗰𝗍 has gotten into the backline. This is huge for Team 𝘀𝗋ℎ. This is them getting back into the game your way. As they pick up a shutdown, they'll pick up another kill. And they get all 5. They get the Baron!
It's a 5-0 for 𝘀𝗋ℎ this time. They retaliate for their early fail.
Round it goes!
And this should really put them back into contention for this game. Look at the gold. After Baron should be completely even. And 𝘀𝗀𝗀 just overstaying his welcome. He can't do it that aggressively. We have seen 𝘀𝗀𝗀's transformation to maybe the most aggressive mid laner ever. We've seen him tower dive level 4 multiple times already on his Sylas. And this was just a little too far forward. There's so much CC, I've talked about this over and over again. 𝘀cie gets a huge chunk of CC on Dante, but he's still on the choke point, and he's just walking up too far against 𝘁𝗵. He needs to know that the Syndra can come in. The disengage on Ryuk is still amazing. Ryuk can't do anything in this game, because they just immediately throw all their CC at Ryuk, and then ignore him to go for other targets. So just very solid team fighting for 𝘀аше, and that's reassuring. This team actually has some life left in them. Now 4 kills ahead, secure another dragon, so that dragon soul is also averted. And suddenly we're back to square, same gold. The Baron is not really going to amount to much, I think, as most Barons are nowadays. Baron is a pretty shitty objective, doesn't really do much for you. But at least it's off the map now, and they can't break your base. You're very unlikely to break theirs, but at least it's combat stats, it's gold. And the game extends. We're 30 minutes in. 𝘀аше has officially made it, but there's another chance.
Yeah, the Realm Warp is coming in, but 𝘁elle with a good barrel to stop
What is
Elio
this?
doing anything. Yoshino on the backside. This is a weird fight your way. The 2 front line has been brought in, and in the end, no one really hits anyone.
Oh, I need someone to clip all the weird interactions. Just Yoshino trying to go for the flank, and then the one he sees is Ryuk. And she realizes, well, I really do not want to fight Ryuk, so he just slowly stamps away.
Yeah, it's that meme of from the Umbrella Academy where the one car's coming out, the other one's coming in, and they're looking at each other. It's Yoshino going for an engage, Ryuk being out of position.
Oh, man.
You love to see it, as in the meantime, 𝘁𝗵 has just picked up a bottom lane inner. Has to find a way out, though, and
dodge.
it's not going to happen as 𝘀cie has found him, and the collateral damage comes in. 𝘀𝗀 continues to get further
Yeah,
and further ahead.
𝘀𝗀 clearly carried that situation. What an amazing
Oh,
Grace
absolutely,
performance.
he deserved it.
The quintessential Grace gameplay, waiting for you other players to actually do something and then just sniping away the kills. Nice, good to see. 𝘀𝗀 has this fundamentals down of the champion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, it's Graves, dude. You got to stop being a hater.
No,
He's a good boy.
Never.
Well, I mean, if you want Graves to lose this game, it means Jin has to win. So
Yeah, this matters.
you are
truly.
Look at Yoshino. Look how glowy he is in the bush. He's so bright. I don't know what was going on there. He was so bright.
Well, let's take a step back and look at the items coming in. This is a 4-item 𝘀cie level 16. He went for the more defensive option, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I feel like you should probably just go for damage and play a little bit more defensively instead of going for defensive items and then play more aggressively, because honestly just one defensive item is not really enough to keep you alive in my opinion. So yeah, let's see how it goes. It makes him way harder to kill for Zetsu, which is very annoying, and also for Dante, which could go a long way. But also 3 items now finished for 𝘁𝗔. He's on the 60% crit. He's getting there in terms of auto attack damage as well. And then the huge spike is coming up for 𝘀𝗀. He's working on his Infinity Edge. And once that is completed, he can 2-3 shot all the 𝘀𝗰𝗋s on the other side. So that's concerning for the other side.
How do they deal with the rise in the side lane as well, if 𝘀rie ever decides to go there?
What
There's
is
now a
the side lane?
4-item rise. Is level 16 as well, so this is a very big blue boy.
Yeah, I think 𝘁𝗵 can probably just save him off. Just keep clearing waves, because it's very hard
He's
to
gonna
rise.
get another tower though. Skye are just not answering what 𝘀аше has been doing for the last couple minutes, by the
Yeah,
way.
𝘀𝗏 seems to be very scared to take stances, defensive stances under towers right now, so just giving up objective after objective. It's nice gold into the pockets of 𝘀𝗀, of course. At this point in the game, 600 extra gold. If you're scared to lose the fight, then just give up the tower, it makes sense. But the dragon's coming up in 50 seconds. This could be sold for 𝘀𝗏, also opening up another win con for them, right, with the Elder Dragon spawning. So let's see how much priority they want to put on this objective. Seems like they're already gathering around here. Elio, how did you miss the ward? Come on, check the bush! No, come
that
on.
Ward. That ward just gets to keep surviving for no reason.
No IE for Graves, so it's not here for the fight. There is an IE or 𝘁𝗔, so they are actually behind in terms of items in the huge power spike department. 𝘁𝗵 also very close to completing the Rabadons, so 𝘀𝗀 is well and truly online. And as long as they don't get machine gunned by 𝘀cie, they should win the fights, honestly.
Ooh, the dragon is started though. Sky nowhere near it. They just don't want this soul. I tell Elias, 3 of them immediately appear once the fog of war is toggled.
Oh, Yoshino!
But look at this. They've just left them out to dry. Yoshino just gets blown up. 𝘀𝘀 goes gold. The dragon is actually secured. On the other side, Harvey's used all of his damage into one member, into 𝘀cie, which just isn't good enough, particularly when you don't even kill him. And now 𝘀𝗻𝗍, he's strutting on forward. Confident stuff here from this misfortune. Come on, go off, Queen. But can she find the angle? It's just about coming in. 𝘀𝘀 going low with a shot out of the chin. 𝘀𝗶𝗺 coming in from the side. They have to cancel the TF ult, or they're just going to, the Jin ult, I should say, as they're just going to immediately die. And Ryuk enters, and 𝘀𝗻𝗍 ends it.
And do you know what happened? It's another 5-0. We don't go halfway in this game. It's a 5-0 for either side all the time. And this time it's Sky. Do they have the time to finish? They probably do. 10 seconds, 2 seconds on Palat. 7 seconds on Yoshino. If he can somehow teleport somewhere and maybe kill the wave.
Narbar, though.
Yeah, it's very hard to do.
I don't think so.
Palat could try
maybe if there's a barrel.
Yes, there we go. Oh
yeah,
no, it's over. It's over.
Nah, it's donezo your way. In the clash of the week, it comes the way we expected, with BTS taking a swift, well, I say swift, that's not fair, but a 2-0 nonetheless. That is unfair, you're right. But they do take the 2-0 over Sky, over Flash. Wow, just bungled that one. And to save my ailing brain, we are going to go immediately to the VCS English analyst desk to break all of that one down.
That we are. Thank you for watching, and analyst desk, go.
Welcome back, everybody. I mean, what a contested game. Flash coming back to some extent over the course of that one, but unfortunately, it is just BTS who are on this massive surge in the second half of their split, now claiming 4th place, technically playoff position, in the second to last game series here inside of the week. Welcome back to the desk, 𝘀cie and 𝘀_QuARK, as we get a chance to break down that game, at least to some extent. I mean, contention was their all match. 𝘀cie, talk to me about Flash, because again, beginning of the series, you talked about them quite a bit. What was it that they were doing right, I guess, in the mid game? Because at the beginning, things kind of looked chalked a little bit, but they brought it back to very, very close conditions.
They just found some great picks. I gotta say, a palette on the Gragas, they're hyping him up and the cast with it, and those casts really mispositioned the Leona every fight. Got in the right position to burst it before it happened, able to pick up a lot of kills, and able to snowball. And with that, with the Gragas, they had so much like pressure on these objectives as well going forward, and they were able to snowball quite heavily off of it. And get back that massive gold lead that they were behind due to the Herald, and it was really great to see, to be honest.
Look, in Italy, we have this kind of tradition with the elders that when nobody has anything to do, they go to the bar, play cards, and get smashed. Okay, so this was basically the summary of this whole game. When no objective, with no setup was available, they just met in mid lane and got smashed. At some point, 𝘀cie realized that side lane existed, and he went there a couple of times. And realized also that Team Flash had a very easy time in picking him off. So he was afraid to do it again. And that compelled him to actually stay with this team, which brought to a lot of these messy team fights, which Flash managed to win in the mid game. But eventually, the last team fight toppled the game. And it was, again, as I said at the beginning of the series, it was Yoshino just being completely on himself, jumping in without Mega Gnar and throwing everything to the wall, and that was very poorly connected to the rest of his teammates. And I don't know, despite the moments of brilliance, I'm always worried that there's a moment like this ruining everything for Flash.
See, there's part of this which is frustrating because Flash is so close. It feels like they're right there. Their rookies are looking good. Their gameplay is looking like set up properly, right? But they aren't finding wins off the back of a few key issues, I think, that pop up over the course of the game. Not only individual play, but plenty of other things. But it is at least inspiring to see that this team is not losing ground, right? This isn't a team that's going to go even if they go what is eventually going to be like 0-14, whatever the series score might end up being. It seems as though they're making progress game by game, series by series, week by week. I have a feeling we're not going to see them in last place. I have a feeling we're going to see Secret in last place, all things considered, after everything is said and done, just because of how well that they've been progressing, and Secret has been declining to some extent. So there is that to talk about as well. And for BTS, who came out today, I think they were heavy favorites, and while the games weren't necessarily the most definitive, a performance I think that they can hang their hat on and say, okay, that was good. That was what we needed to get done. And specifically from 𝘀𝘀 today, kind of putting the team on his back a little bit, Clockwork, especially that game. That Graves performance was monstrous.
Absolutely. And 𝘀𝘀 is the leader of the team that BTS always wanted, and can show up with a lot of picks. Of course, Graves gives comfort. We didn't expect him to see anything to see anything less than this from him. And in this angle, with the standings in mind, that now BTS are 3-3 against at the same level of Buffalo, more or less. These performance games like this give me actually hope that BTS have a clear idea of what they want to do, how they want to play on the back of 𝘀𝘀, which was what Buffalo managed to do last split, and are struggling to repeat this split. So an angle for snatching the first place is actually likely to happen.
Isabel, thoughts on BTS?
Oh, yeah, I think they played really well. I think 𝘀𝘀 really just he's just a monster, right? And though the Leona got caught out loads in those late game team fights, 𝘀𝘀 just jumped straight onto the Jhin, and we all know what Graves can do once he gets a couple items behind him. Just pretty much one shots the Jhin, and I think it was the Gragas at the end, just with a little flank. And yeah, I mean, it's great to see. I think they're gonna they're gonna take this mental advantage that they've gathered here and just take that into playoffs. Especially if they keep ramping up like this, and it's going to be great to see. And I think they can contest for a higher spot.
We're hoping to see this continued kind of development from BTS, as it's been a moment for 𝘀𝘀, for 𝘀𝘀, and for some of these members that have been trying to make their way in to the best of their abilities. But that will wrap up our first series of the day. We have a second series coming up very quickly. For anyone keeping tabs at home, I also said that I would give you the answer to my question. Neither of them got it right. It was actually 𝘁𝘀. And because I like to play games, I'm actually not going to give the reason either. I do have plenty of reasoning, and I will talk about it probably on a future desk. But for the moment, it was 𝘁𝘀 who actually piqued my interest. So we'll get a chance to talk about that at a later date. Instead, we are going to be focusing after a very unlikely to be predictable breaks, probably somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour at this point, given that we only went 2 games. We will be seeing the final game of week number 2 between the likes of 𝘀𝗀 and Team Secret. Stick around, because that's going to be another very, very fine series, another clash of the week, hopefully, at least on one side for the time of Team Secret. See if they can turn things around against the likes of 𝘀𝗀. But for us here on the desk, we'll be back in just about an hour's time after the break has come through with our second series. See you then.